Hey everyone, welcome to my live stream, and today we are going to be working on my Linktree clone, and I will be working on adding support for displaying users links. So before we move on with today's agenda, let me introduce you to what Linktree is. So if you head over to Linktree, linktr.ee, their website. So what they actually does, they basically let you give you a custom page where you can host all of your URLs, all of your links to your social media, links to your blog, articles, whatever you want to share with your followers. Right? So they give you a custom page where you can display all the links you want, like something like this. So with that, they provide you a custom URL. Right? So custom URL with something like this. If I head over to my Linktree page, you'll see something like this. So this is the URL that I share on my Instagram or in the other places, so that I don't have to share all of these URLs, and I can just share this one, and anyone who stumbles upon my URL can then go to all of these different links from one place. Right? So this is what Linktree does. And I have been working on a clone for Linktree just to explore like how it works and what all I have to build and figure out in order to build a Linktree clone. Right now, I currently have somewhat built, somewhat built. For example, right now, if you'll see, I have already integrated a authentication system. I've already integrated database and everything. I have the schema and everything ready. I'm basically using NextJs on the front end side with Apollo client to link to my GraphQL API that is being served via Hasura. So Hasura is helping me out with my Hasura is running on top of a Postgres database. So any tables and all I have created there show up as a GraphQL API for me to use. So I'm using Hasura to generate a GraphQL API on top of a Postgres database, and then I have plugged Apollo client on the front end side on top of NextJS to connect to my database and or my GraphQL API. Right? So right now I have this authentication going on, in which I'm using this package called NextAuth. So NextAuth, this package is specifically built for Next.js to work with Next.js. So it provides authentication with a lot of providers, a lot of authentication providers. If you'll see this, these are all the authentication provider supports. Right? So if you'll see, it's a bunch of them. So right now I only have Google integrated with me. So if I click on this button, it's going to authenticate with my Google account and log me into my admin page. So this is a shared page. So if you'll notice, like what they do is they have this custom page where all of your URLs or if you users URL will show up, right? And they have some backend pages, for example, this admin one, right? So this is where they this is where they let you manage your links to any of the resources, any of the websites you want, right? So I have something similar. So this is how far I've come. I've built it so far. So I've got deleting, adding new links, deleting links, showing and hiding the links and all. Right now, let's come back to the agenda for today's stream, and that is to build a page something like this, right? So this is what we want to build. Now similarly, this could be of any other user's username, and they will have a bunch of links showed up here, right? So let's head over to my code base. I'll give you a brief walkthrough of what I have set up so far in terms of my code base. So if you'll see, so I'm using Next.js as I've already mentioned. I'm using Next.js. I'm using Tailwind. You'll see, so I have Next Apollo client hooked up for linking to for connecting to my data hub or database or GraphQL API. I'm using Emotion with Tailwind. I'm using this twin.magro package to go on with my Tailwind CSS. And just a bunch of ES lines and prettier configured there. The project is also built on top of, it's running on TypeScript. So I built it with TypeScript in mind. I've got some notifications going on. I have next auth here, as I mentioned, GraphQL requests for the backend stuff and all. Right. So with Next.js comes this concept of dynamic server-side pages or server-side API routes, right? So what they do is they let you define different API routes that are they basically act as a REST API, right? So this is what NextAuth is using for the authentication system. So I have this single file nextauth.js that handles all the authentication related functionality for me, right? Now for in order for us to be able to build a page like this, first of all we'll have to know, since it's Next.js where each page, each file under pages folder is a route in itself. So for example, if you look at the URL structure here, they just have a username. They just have a username right here. So that means we'll have to put a with a page, right? Put a file right under the pages file folder. So I'll say it like this. Since it is the username, so I'm just gonna call it a username. So this is how you define a dynamic page, right? So what I can do here is, this is my dynamic page. I'm just going to take this boilerplate, put this here. If you're not like what should I call this? I'll just say user page, user links, right? So I have this basic setup, like if the user is not logged in, they should be redirected back to the login page. That's there. Now I have this page here. I can say, let's see, how do we access the params? Let's head over to Next.js. Let's head over to Next.js. And we can head over to docs and let's see how to access this ID basically. Dynamic routing. So you can do this, and this gives you access to whatever param or whatever value you wrote there. So this one would be username, since we're mentioning it as a username. We have a router. So let's just show it up here in this page. So if I go back to this, and here I say that's my username for the currently logged in account. It sends me back to the login page. Oh wait, yeah. It's not needed on this page since it's a public page. We don't really need to redirect our user. Let's remove that. Let's try to go back to our user page. Now it shows me my username, right? Now that we have a username, that means if you have a username, what we can do is we can do a lookup or search for that user by the username in our database and see if that user exists or not. For example, let's see if I did something like, and let's see how they handle their not page. So for example, if a URL, if a username isn't found in their database, they basically show a 404. That means that is something that we can do also, but before we do that, we have to look up into our database. Let's check our database, and to do that, what we can do is we can use a query called users. Let's see if that it is users. it's users, and in the users, let's just first of all do ID. And in the users, what we want to do is we want to do a where clause, and in that where we need to select the username and check if username with this value exists or not. So I can do something like this. I can say this this is required, and now if I go back here and I say username is equal to PRNEXT, I'm gonna get back a user with a user ID. If I say this, I get nothing. So this is our clue for letting the user know that this doesn't exist, right? So we can use this query, but before we go ahead, we also need a couple of things, and which is links. We need a link ID, we need our title, we need the URL, of course. If I do enter on this, let's remove this one. Now you'll see I am able to get the user and the links, all the links they have, right? Now one thing I need to is I should probably order this by created at, right now we can just sort it by this, which is fine. Now let's see if we can get the user's name. We have the name here, right? So we have the name also. So this is something that we can show. Let's go back to this. So the basic information they show is the name, the bio, the image, and the list of links. Right? So let's see if we can also show image. Yes, we can. If there is an image, we can show it, right? So I think this is the query that we can use. Let's head over to this and head over to our GraphQL folder where I am storing all of my links, all of my queries, be it mutation or anything, right? So we don't need subscriptions. We can come here. We have, so if you'll check, we already have this query called users, but let's not use that, and instead I'm gonna do user by username, right? And like that. Now in here, what I can do is and I can use the hook provided by Apollo client called useQuery, and in that useQuery I can pass that. Let's first of all try to get okay. Let's try to import our queries first. From this I want queries, and from the queries I'll have dot user by username, right? And it takes a second the user takes a second argument, which is an object in which we can pass our variables, and that variable would be username, like this, right? So we can pass it like this. now that we have that, we get in return an object that comprises of following things: loading, boolean, an error, object, and data. Data will have users, something like this. So I won't be accessing it from this, and also not accessing it from this. I'd rather have a state boolean. I can say status set status, and here I can say react.use state. Initially it will be in loading, right? And instead of using this, I'd be using the on completed, like this. And there's another one called on error callback that I can also use. and in here I can just pass in first of all, let's have it console.error. We can error. Let's see how toast. We need a toast to let the user know that we don't need a toast on the front end side of it. This is going to be user facing or user facing. We don't really need to show those. And but here I can for sure set the error to set status to error. So I have the GitHub Copilot access, so that's why the auto completion thing is showing up. Now in this I can do set status. Now the set status depends on a couple of things. First of all, let's get our data from this. And now if users.length is equal to 0, that means we can simply set the status to not found. Essentially means that there is no such user with that username, and thus we can show the user not found, or maybe looking for someone that doesn't exist or something, or for a full page basically, right? And then we can do basically a return, right? And if it is not G0, that means it definitely exists, and we can set the status to success as it is pointing out. Let's do that. And then I come back here and I need to set the user as well. Like this, I'm saying user. Users like this. Let's create set user use state, and we'll have a user. We'll have. Let's make it now. Let's do empty object. Right. Now we have a bunch of states. We have loading initially that can result into or resolve into either not found, meaning the user doesn't exist, and to success, that means the user does exist and we have the data, and error, that means we could not tell before the request did not succeed and resulted in an error. Right, so we have the user, we have the status. What we can do here is put up, so if the status is equal to loading, we can do it's a load. It is loaded. What's up? Let's import it from components. I want loader, right. And in that, I want to show it as loading. The moment it's showing up, if it returns status equals to error, that means we don't essentially need this anymore, so we can just return, and I can show error loading users. That's fine for now. And if status is equal to not found, that means the user not found. Thank you, GitHub Autopilot, right? And otherwise we just show the username. Let's do user dot name. If we have a name, yeah, we have a name. So let's do that. Now if I hand back to this page and wait for it to refresh, let's check out the errors. First of all, we're missing IMR, that is import React. Save it, go back, and there we have the name. So time it takes to load, it shows the loader. In the meantime, while it's loading, if it returns a result, runs into error, it's going to show error loading user. Let's see if we can do error in any way. Let's make it like this and see. That causes an error. There we go. So we have I purposely added made it throw an error so that we can test our error state. So we have the error state working, and let's try at another one that is not found one. That would be if I say this. So user not found. So we have all the other 4 states handled. Loading, error, not found, empty, or on the one where user is found. Right. So let's go back to this. Do this. We have displayed the name. Now what I want to do, let's show it properly. Make it L1. We don't have a description right now, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm not storing the description right now, so we can forget that. And after this, I think comes the URLs. But before I do that, let's check if the user dot links app link dot URL. This would be link dot title, and that needs to be wrapped in NLI like this. We need a key. It would be link dot ID. If I'm not fetching it, let's fetch it. Yes, we are fetching it. So it'd be like that. Let's see if that works. It seems to work. And now before we move ahead, we need to have a target of blank and rel of no opener, no wrapper. That. So we have a name and everything linked up. Let's do image as well. img. It would take the user dot. Before I go there, let me check something. Okay. So I can use, I think, image. Let's see wherever. So NextJs has their own component called image that we can also use here. Let's say this. So we can use this, and the source would be user dot image. Alt would be this. I can just get rid of this. This should also check for this. If the user has an image, then only render this. Like this. We need to have a wrapper over this. So let's make it section. Right. Let's import Tailwind. From twin macro, and here I can make it. What is the width that we need? Something like this. What 80px. And they recently start with version 2 onwards. I think they're supporting this arbitrary values. I think this might work. Yes, this works. And I can make it rounded full. Of course, I need to make it overflow hidden. Yeah, that works. Let's add a shadow as well. And okay, that looks nice. Let's try to keep everything centered. We can do flex, then center. No, not item system. We want justify center. Flex all, I guess. And then item center. Yeah, we wanted that. So what I essentially did here, this is essentially the flex direction that I changed to column. That's why all of them are stacked one above another. So this is what we wanted, and I want padding on the top of, let's do it 16. Give it good padding like that. H1 deserves to be H1, so let's make it text 3XL. Yeah, that's much better. Let's see if we can do font medium. Would that look good? Okay, they did a bit differently. Anyway, let's move it down. I think their version looks much better, like it should be. And it should go to back to. Let's make it LG. Like that. Don't need this. Right. Let's make the background BG gray 50. And we need it to be at screen. I don't know how that works. How did that work? Okay, we definitely don't want this. So I guess this is the class for that. Flex shrink 0. What did I do? Oh, yeah, that was the class. So now we don't have a shrinking one, and yeah, it shouldn't be at screen, should be at full. Right. Nice. Let's back to that. Okay, now. So H1 definitely doesn't go full height, and H screen does weird thing. But I do want it to be screen. Cover the screen. Let's see again. So this covers this. Why doesn't it go beyond scroll? I mean, its screen is like 100 VH. Anyway, I think that should be fine. Okay, so we need to make this 100 px 120 maybe. Wait, why isn't, so I specifically made this 100%, then what's up? Let's see what other. Must be an integer without a unit. Width to the image in pixels. I think we should do layout fill. So if I did fill, will it cover? Definitely want that. Why the parent element is relative? Let's make it relative and then do layout. But lay out that or layout fill. Wrong value. There we go. That's I wanted. I mean, let's shrink it to 100. 100. Yeah. There we go. So if it exists, then only we show that username will exist. I'm expecting if it comes from Google account. If you have links, then it shows links. I can also do like right, if it is greater than 0, then only show it. Now that we have that, let's add some space there and some space at the bottom. That li's. But before that, why is this? Let's head over to Tailwind. Less none, we don't none. Like that, so each of the 8. So let's, before we do that, let's create a link button, for example, and make it something like return essentially this. We would need a link here. Link. Let's move this here as well. Like that. Then okay. That's fine. Let's now create let's style them. I would want to give there's a U. I forgot to add a UL. That does the I don't know this. This is fine. But this is not legal. But it is legal. This is not, like this is also legal. Let's see if I put this down here, put this down here, put this down here, this down. And we have this, and then we have this. Here goes this. Oh, like that. Now what we want is to have a gap of let's do space y of 3 right. And at this point let's make every of them h10 and then rest falls on this. So tw of h12 right, and let's make it w full for now and do a bg of make them all the same color now. Indigo 700, that's white. They look like this. Add a padding. We don't need a padding. Oh wait, it needs to be aligned. Let's make it block. Yeah. Okay, needs to be in line. Let's items. Not that. Make it block. Make it let's items center, justify center. It's in center now. So what we need is to display all of them. So we need a max width and like that, something like that. Make it rounded, and I need to have a title. That would be link dot title, of course. Like that. And then I need something like I need to give it a width, right? So I want it to give a let's make it w full. Why go? Let's see, border. Okay, border. Okay, that's not. Make it w full like that. Now that we have that, but we don't need this. It stays full like that, but we only want it to be full when it is in mobile. Otherwise, we want the width to be 380 pixels, and 380 is a lot. Let's see if it is centered or not. It's that much, so we can do flex item center. No, just define center, and we want the flex direction to be column. Then it's an item center. that, or we could even have done MX Auto. That clearly didn't work. So let's go back to that. Right, so we have that in centered. We don't need the border anymore. We have it like this. So if the width breakpoint is greater than whatever MD is, it's going to be of 380, and otherwise it's going to be the full. Let's see. Let me see. Right. So this, otherwise this. Right, so we have a page now. I mean, not exactly like this, but we have a page where the user can now show up their URL, and they can visit, they can share this URL, and they'll be able to share all the links linked with that account. Right, so this is something that we wanted to build, and I think we have done that. Let's go back to admin now, and in here let's add a URL to. Right, so now they can go to that. Right, so this is what we wanted. So if let's open this in another tab, like this, you can go back and forth to check. Now one more thing is, like, we have this functionality of show and hide, so let's also do that, and let's make a simple change in this query, which would be where and not in this one. We have one here, where is active is equal to true. Right, so if it is active, then only it should show up there. That means if I turn this off and then go back to this page, I shouldn't see the Instagram link anymore, right? Because I choose to hide it. If I click on this and choose to now show it, and then go back to my page, now I can see the Instagram link. No, it's pretty basic, not much of a complex functionality, but yeah. So this is what we set out to build: a page that a user can share with anyone, that will list all of the URLs, similar to what Linktree is doing. Right, so this is what we wanted to build for today's stream. Right, now I can go to my Instagram, I can go to my LinkedIn, I can go to my GitHub. It'll take me to my GitHub page. This is my GitHub page. We're at 999 viewers. I can go to my CodePen, something similar to what we have here, right? Similarly dribble and all. Alright, then before we close on this, let's see if we can do anything other. Let's commit our code, and we'll do feed public links page, and before we do, let's before we do that, let's add meaningful text here. Let's try to style this as well. So again, going to do for that, let's do something here to trigger the loader forever. it is the one. So that way I can come here, I can do div. No. Div faceless here. Here I can do tw h screen w full, and I want the text item center justify, and let's not do items. Let's see. It shows up in the center. Now I just wanted to show up here and add a pt of 4. Let's not do 4, let's do 16 to match this one. She shows up like this. So now if I remove this with this and refresh, and to show up like this, right? Now that we have that, let's move ahead with the error part, and here I can show a 404, not a 404. Let's just show it like this, and the not found I can do do this again, do this, do this. That user not found, I can do and in here I can say make it text day 600 text lg, and I had this illustration somewhere. Let's see if I have used it. Yes, I did. Username, and my elo. Here. All items center. Let's have a space mark t3 and user not found. Right now, in the user didn't found, so this is what we want to show. Now I think we are done with our page. Yeah, so this is fine, and we can. Before that, also this, let's convert it to tsx. Like that. Yeah, I think that is fine. Let's create an interface for our link button. Interface link button. It will have a URL, which will be a string. It will have a title, again string. Got it? Yeah. That image, what image? Let's see why does it show. Oh, that's another thing. Links, content, link, input. Oh, yeah, of course. Here we go. Yeah. Now, I think we're done. So now we can commit it. Let's add these to staging. We have added a public links page. Let's push this and we can head over to Vercel, which is going to do the deployment for us. Let's wait for a while. It's going to deploy it for us. Taking a while. It's ready. Let's visit our application, and it's also on Linktree.prem. I'm correct. I guess not. So if I do this here, will I see my page? It says user not found. Wait, did I? Yeah, of course I did. I forgot to remove this. Fix. Invalid condition check. Let's push it. And there we go. Let's see how long it takes now. I think why it took 1 minute was because it was installing a bunch of packages that were introduced in the commits that triggered this build. That's why you see 31 second 42. This one also has new packages added to them. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it took 31 seconds. Let's refresh and we should see our page with our links. Right, so this is something that we set out to build for this live stream, and yeah, so basically that. So we went from creating a new page in our pages directory that is making a query to our database to fetch a user based on this username. If it exists, then show the user's image, name, and their links. If it doesn't exist, then show some error saying like the user is not found. Right, so this is what we set out to build, and I think we can conclude our today's live stream with this, and I'll see you guys on the next one.